Leeds, Leeds, Leeds. What is happening? Welcome to Working Hours, an oral history podcast about a place called Leeds, a time called now, and an activity called work. Working Hours wants to record 1,000 loiners over the course of this, the most important decade in the history of the human species, and ask them about what they do all day and hear how they feel about it. My name is Simon, and this is all my fault. My mission here is to try to map out what my city, Leeds, a city that has declared a climate emergency, did during humanity's biggest emergency. On Working Hours, we hear how loiners have, are, and will be coping with our multiple and expanding crises during their day-to-day working hours. Can we turn things around? We'll find out. To tell this story, I need loiners like you, dear listener. I need people in Leeds or people from Leeds to come on this podcast and just tell me what they do all day and let me record how this affects us. Thank you for listening. What did you want to be when you grew up?
Yeah, when I was kind of thinking about it, I didn't really have any kind of ambition, but kind of in a positive way. I like to think. So I didn't kind of think, I really want to strive for something. I've just always kind of just wanted to, when I was younger, I suppose, just have some money. I've just done jobs since I was kind of 14 years old, just to have money to do what I wanted to do, buy records, go out, see my friends. Whereas I think a lot of kids nowadays got access to so much stuff, they see everything and want to be a certain specific celebrity or something. Whereas I was quite lucky growing up in London. I think there was a lot going on around me and a lot of opportunities, and you could just see so many opportunities really. And I managed just to kind of get through a load of different experiences from about my first job at about 14 years old, working down the market because I wanted just some cash. And I was speaking to my kids about it, and it was, you get £20 cash, get there at 8 in till like 6 in the evening. And at the end of the day, it's £20 cash. And I was happy with that. Whereas, it's crazy. So I'd get that money, run down to the record shop and spend my time trying to buy 2 or 3 records with that money. And that was kind of at 14. And I look at kids who are 14 now, they can barely, tidy their bedrooms up. So, yeah, I didn't really, as I say, have any ambition. I just kind of was experiencing a lot of different things until I kind of found something I kind of really like to do. And it's kind of led me to where I am kind of now, really.
So, in terms of a career, was there a plan, or was it more a sort of opportunities came up and you were like, I can do that? Was that kind of how you played it, or?
Yeah, I think my kind of mum had a plan for me, and it wasn't really for me. It was like school. All my family were kind of school, college, university, that kind of route. But I kind of left school as soon as I could and just started kind of working. And I didn't really think much further than the kind of the weekend kind of paycheck. And I was just like having a good time, going out with my friends, earning money, and it was kind of working for me. But yeah, and I got to a point where I could kind of talk about, I kind of done loads of different jobs. I worked in the city. I worked kind of for solicitors. I kind of done loads of different jobs. And one day a friend of mine's dad said, can you come and unload a truck? And I was like, unload a truck? Anyway, he said, like, get to Wembley Stadium for whatever time it was. And I turned up, and it was for the Rolling Stones. I unloaded in a truck. And I was like, is this even a job? So everyone's there kind of like having a drink, having a nice time, unloading a truck. This was kind of before health and safety was kind of like a thing. Obviously it was a thing, but it wasn't. Everyone's drinking, smoking, having a good time, unloading a truck. I was like, this is fun. This isn't a job. And I got paid, I think, 50 quid or something for a couple of hours work. And I was like, right, what we do next? I'll just jump on the truck and come with us. I was like, what? So I ended up like touring the UK, just kind of on the back of this. My mate's dad, he used to be a truck driver. And I just thought he drove, as far as I was concerned, truck driving's like Tesco's or whatever. I didn't think it was like rock and roll. And it turned out it's a whole industry. And I kind of spent a couple of years just bumming about doing that. But then I kind of realized there's people who are kind of doing my job who are like 50. And I was like, it's good fun when I'm 20, traveling around, but at 50, I don't, it's not for me. So I kind of progressed myself, and I ended up kind of becoming crew boss in charge of different lads. And then eventually I went to university to study event management. So I kind of saw that was the route to go to. And at the time, Leeds was the only place in the country doing this event management degree. And as I say, I left school at 15. I didn't have any kind of academic qualifications and it didn't interest me, but I kind of knew that I had to, at that time, get this qualification to progress to a level where I could, where it was testing me really, because it was fun, but it was easy. I was like, it's fun, but I couldn't really see a future. So I thought the only future I could see by keeping having fun is by progressing, earning more money and doing whatever. So the degree, somehow I found out about an event management degree and Leeds. And I was like, I'm from London. I'm not going up north, not a chance. But I was like, right, I'll go and do this degree and I'll come back to London and that'll be a blip in my life and whatever. And 20 years later, I'm kind of still in Leeds. So I kind of just ended up kind of working a number of jobs and ended up kind of doing my degree. Then during that time, I worked for Leeds City Council on their major events team, kind of doing the big kind of party in the park, opera in the park, Kirk's Abbey, kind of Tour de France, big triathlons and all that kind of big citywide kind of major event stuff for Leeds. And at that kind of point in the early 2000s, Leeds was kind of quite a big city for like the Kaiser Chiefs, Pigeon Detectives, all these kind of big bands. I was in that scene there doing all that. So I was still kind of having fun, do what I do. And so that's kind of how so basically what the question was about ambition. I don't know how I've gone to this, but as I say, I've not had any ambition, but I do I go around to local schools now and mentor some kind of quite a lot of kids and kind of about careers. And so you don't have to follow the kind of school, college, university route. Unless you know you want to be a vet, I kind of say, or an accountant or whatever, then obviously you need a qualification. But if you're not too sure, I think you just kind of want to experience what you can and kind of work hard, don't be late and be nice. And I think, you've got half a chance.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like the 50% of success is just turning up.
100%. 100%. It's like, there's no excuse. You're on an even playing field. You turn up on time and you're polite. Everyone can do that, more or less, But so that's kind of what. So I go into local schools with kind of kids who are on their career path, and the teachers are like, trying not to dissuade them too much from college, university. But I'm like, I'm just going to tell them how I got to where I am, and I kind of think in it. I kind of say, like I said to you at the start, I've no ambition in a positive way. I think if people I know, like, I need a big house, want a big car, they don't know how or why they want that. They just kind of want that. And if they don't get that, I can imagine it's probably you're thinking, I've not achieved my goal of a big house. And it's like, well, that shouldn't be your goal. That should be a kind of benefit of the goal of is just having a nice time. That's what I kind of think I want to do. And I've always kind of just moved. If they're not having a good time, I'll get another job. It's like there's more to life than kind of work. But if you can enjoy it, which I do I enjoy every day. I come to work and I enjoy it. And I'm fortunate that, I've created, and we might get to where I am now, but I've created my own job. It's crazy. I've got to a point where down my career, I've been doing events for kind of 25 years now. And I've got to the point where I've kind of created my own job, which I kind of really fortunate.
You're listening to Series 5, Episode 18, and to my guest, Alex Webb. This is another Squadcast interview recorded on the 4th of April, 2024. Hello, listener. Alex Webb's job is to drive footfall to the estates he manages in Leeds and Manchester and increase dwell time. Alex's focus is on raising brand awareness and fostering an engaged community among office, residential and local stakeholders. Alex aims to achieve this through an authentic programme of activities in collaboration with partners who share his company, Form Properties, values and brand principles. By creating a vibrant and talked about social destination, Alex can enhance the overall experience and perception of the estate, encouraging more people to visit and spend time there. Right, let's do this. Episode 128 of Working Hours with Alex Webb. Let's jump into it then. So what is it that you're doing now?
So what I'm doing now is what I'm technically called is a placemaker. So how I explain to my mum kind of is I make spaces fun.
Yeah.
So you'd come to a space and you go, I kind of like it here. And then you would tell your friends or family via social media. Whereas in the past, we might have spent 10, 20 grand on an advert in the YEP and gone, come to Leeds Dock. It's amazing. And everyone's like, yeah, whatever. You're obviously going to say that. It doesn't really work anymore. People don't believe anything they're kind of told unless it's by their kind of small social group or someone they trust. So we would, for example, we would maybe put a really cool installation, piece of art, and then we would put it out on social. You might say, I really want to see that piece of art. It looks really cool. I want to get a picture. You'd come down, get a picture, post it to Insta, Snapchat, Facebook, whatever, and go, whilst you're here, you go, I didn't know you had this kind of bar here, this coffee shop, restaurant, and ultimately spend some money. But then you're going to have a nice time and go to your friends, family. I went down Leeds Dock and I saw an amazing piece of art and had a great coffee. And then that's the marketing. So I get budget just to do fun shit, basically. As long as people keep doing the stuff that I can think of, people keep turning up, spending money. Ultimately, it is to drive footfall and keep people coming down. But I get a full remit to do whatever I want. So I started here at Leeds and we turned it from a kind of failed, I don't know if you know Leeds Dock at all, but we picked it up about 8 years ago as a failed retail development. It used to be a kind of, it was like shops down here, which just failed. So we took it and turned it into more like a kind of creative kind of office workspace with kind of restaurants and bars and that kind of thing. And now it's kind of got a great kind of events, really nice people kind of know about it and whatever. And my company who I work for at the time saw it and goes, how have you managed to do that? I was like, I don't know. I just done what I wanted to do. I was like, right, I like open water swimming. Let's do some swimming in the dock. I like running. Let's start running club. I like eating nice food. Let's do this. And it just kind of, if I like it, people else will like it. And if I like it, I'm also passionate about it. So passion breeds passion and whatever. So they're like, right, can you do this for our place in Manchester? And I was like, I don't really know Manchester at all, but what do they like? And they're like, it doesn't matter what they want. You do what you want. And then people will kind of follow. So I've taken my ideas to Manchester and I've done some stuff in London as well. And currently we're in the process of trying to make it where I'm like a gun for hire to anyone. So they're saying, you work for us, but we're going to sell you to, I don't know, Sheffield, whatever, somewhere in Sheffield to do what you do for us. And then in Sheffield. So I've got to keep coming up with the same, but better. And it's like, it's pretty tricky. It's pretty tricky. But yeah, that's basically what I have to do is make places fun in a nutshell.
So, I mean, it sounds like it's very much or has been driven by people seeking you out of like stuff that you've done and then they've gone, how do we do that? Who did that? Can we have one of those? Has that been the case so far?
No, it's more been a case of I have to kind of use a lot of kind of LinkedIn and kind of the business to business.
So you're
type
sort of
marketing.
heavy on the social marketing end to promote what you're doing.
Yeah, to say we've done this. Isn't it great? We've managed to achieve whatever certain amount of footfall, certain amount of revenue, or certain percentage increase on these certain days. We've done certain things. Aren't we great? Do you want a piece of that? And then I have to go and try and do something fun for them and kind of increase their whatever they're trying to achieve. Whether it's visibility, whether it's revenue, whether it's whatever. And I have to try and work out the best way to kind of achieve that. But yeah, it all has to look pretty, really. That's basically how it works these days. Doesn't look good on Instagram. Can I get a picture in it, with it, or interact with it? If I can, it's probably going to work.
So, I mean, you kind of have fallen backwards into kind of, I mean, it sounds like to me the way that I'm understanding it is you've kind of fallen into being an events producer, but in a specialized way. So it's not like, you're not like a West End guy who's producing musicals. You're producing events that are visual, that are attractive, that are kind of community based, that are free largely, or yeah.
So it's more, what we call it experiential or activations. So it's like we're activating a space, whether it's a dragon boat race, whether it's a running club. It's just more like what I also, it is. Yeah, my background, like we said, my background was event production, kind of like the kind of lighting, the truss, the sound, all that kind of production side of it. But it got to the point where I was doing that, and I was like, I've got an idea for how this should look. And then the marketing team wouldn't get my idea, or that team. And I was like, no, let me just do it myself. So I ended up kind of, for the company, they're kind of winning. So I do it all. Like the way I see it is a whole, the look, the feel, the smell of it, everything is how I see it. And I'm not that great at, as I said before, academic. I'm not that great at kind of writing stuff down. I'm more just like a doer. So I'll be like, right, this needs to look like this. This needs to smell like that. This needs to taste like that. And it's like, I just make it happen rather than having the whole team. There was a team who worked with me, but we've not got a marketing team who I have to work with, because otherwise it kind of slows it all down and things get diluted. So I'm just like, I've got the vision. I'll just do the whole thing. And I think the placemaker kind of word is a marketing, is events, is production. It is everything. It's just making a whole place, whether it's even through planting, even just through a bit of branding, a sticker, you know, it's a whole, so they've kind of got good value from me. They've got one person doing like 15 jobs really. But now a lot of companies are employing a placemaker to make a place, because people understand the value of, and like, you can't really put your finger on it. You're like, I like being here, whether it's, you know, one of my sites, we put some outdoor speakers up and just play bird music in the city centre.
Nice.
So it's just like you're walking through and you've just got, it's just kind of, it's not like, you wouldn't write home about it, but it's just like, it just feels nice. Or you might just, somewhere you sit, there's like a perfect spot there's someone reading a story to you. Or we sometimes have violins playing, or it's just like a nice extra touch, because, you know, anyone can work anywhere now. And it's like, well, how, ultimately, I probably should have said, so I work for a property company. So ultimately, we need to fill our properties up with office tenants. And obviously, everyone since, you know, COVID or whatever can and does work anywhere. So it's like, what's the difference between working at your office or our office? And they could say, well, we've got birdsong. We have an opera singer on a Friday afternoon or whatever it is. So it's like, it's not going to, you know, it's not going to change the world, but it just means that it's a nicer, or we might have street food, or we might have, you know, or whatever it is. It's just something, an extra you can't get from another development or working from home. Yeah, you can work from home, but did you see Shakespeare at lunchtime? You know, it's like, can you go open water swimming? Have you got a running club? Can you, you know, I don't know, whatever it is. So it's like, it's constantly thinking of stuff that you might speak to your friend and go, I've sat home all day in my office. You'll be like, well, at my work, we had canoeing. I went canoeing down the River Aire. And it's like, oh, right. And if someone is looking the well-being and active and whatever, it's like, okay, let's have a conversation. And it's just, how do we elevate just to make it a little bit better than another office in town?
Yeah. Well, another, you know, replica cookie cutter sort of another building, another square building, glass and steel, and, you know, a bit of canal and stuff. It needs scenery. It needs things that make it unusual and unique. And
it needs a placemaker.
Yeah.
There you go.
So we'll get into some other stuff later. But I'm just thinking, you know, we're starting with sales, that being your first job. I mean, the first job, I think that's it's quite influential. It's forming. And I think sales is a good thing to start with. And, you know, like selling a real product as well. Like, you weren't selling something virtual. You were on a market. You were selling real stuff.
Bagels.
Yeah.
It was Walthamstow Market. It was selling bagels, but nice. it was kind of it was just like, I didn't have huge amounts of money at home, and I was like, I want money. Yeah. How can I get it? And I was just like, have you got a job? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, right, 20 quid. I had a bus pass from going to school. And even now I look at my kids who are kind of 14. I was like, I wouldn't let them travel around London at 14, but like, it was just something you did. And then, you know, I done
but we
that,
let them all online to anyone, anywhere in the world, but going outside, that's dangerous.
I know. It's crazy. Like, I try to be a little bit more chill about it, but the online thing's a whole different kind of story. But from the bagel shop, I then got a job through getting into records, from buying records and DJing. I then got a job in Soho, in a record shop down there, on a place called Berwick Street. Yeah. So I'd go into London, I'd just see the kind of, you have so much opportunity in London just to see everything and kind of take it all in. And I kind of like the culture. Whereas now it's all, you might have a scene on your phone and look at, oh, I'm on a TikTok trend. It's like, yeah, but you know, I'm kind of jealous in a way how easy it is to find out stuff. Whereas if I wanted a new record, I'd have to probably buy it and waste my money. Whereas you couldn't, you know, there is good and bad from it all. But
do you know what we're getting at as well, though? It's like the labor involved in it. It's like when you were into stuff, like I'll use film, but like if you were into film in the 80s and 90s, like there was stuff, but most of it you had to seek out, and you could only see these films like once or twice or whatever. Even if you had them on video, you know, you'd see them in kind of reduced quality, and like there was less of everything, so it was harder to find. So it kind of felt worth more when you found it. Whereas now it's all there, and you're kind of like, is any of this worth anything? It kind of just becomes. I remember when digital music first came out, it just became a thing where I'd have just download gigs and gigs of it, and I'm like, what am I doing with this? Like, I can't listen to it anymore. No, but I wanted to collect because I'm used to collecting records. I thought, wow, I need to collect this music, and the same as like whatever. It's just like it is crazy how. But I think that's kind of, it is coming back round to that as well now. I speak to kind of a lot of students about the stuff I'm doing, and they're like, we don't look at social. We are all either a WhatsApp message to say we're doing something, or a poster back to kind of analog marketing, where you're like, your group of friends are doing a night in a club, and that's what you're not. You don't want to be going. You don't want to be part of a. It's not cool to be part of a bigger Instagram scene now. It's cooler to be a WhatsApp group and an analog poster. So the stuff we're doing now is we're getting back to more word of mouth and just a lot smaller, but more often, and a bit more niche. So I had a conversation with someone this morning actually about starting a model boat club on Leeds Dock. They want to like sail model boats. So the way I look at it as well is I always try to find passionate, self-motivated people who want to work with me. So this chap here, he's come to me, he goes, I want to do a boating club. You know, he's telling me all about boats, and I couldn't. At first, I weren't into boats. The way he was talking to me about it, I was like, it sounds cool. Right. So you need my water and you need 200 quid. And I was like, right, perfect. You're going to get maybe 20 people down sailing their boats for £200 plus my water, which is not a cost. And for them 20 people, they've probably, let's say, 5 friends. They're going to tell their 5 friends about Leeds Dock who may never been here before. They're all going to come down and going to maybe buy a coffee, maybe not, but they might. And then they're going to tell I went to Leeds Dock, do you know, there's whatever. And from that, things kind of grow. And the biggest example of that is with Leeds Dock Running Club. They came to us maybe 3 years ago. 3 people who love running. They were like, can we start a club? We want a space to do it. We want some sort of branding to say, meet here, and some T-shirts. I was like, right, brilliant. Right, how much is it? Like a few hundred quid, whatever, fine. So there was 3 of them running. And for the first while, there's just 3 of them turning up once a week. And I think last weekend, Easter Sunday, whenever it was, there was 250 runners. So who probably never been to Dock before. They're like all part of this club now, big community. Every week they meet up and come down to the Dock. So it's like, there's no point in me saying, I'm going to start a running club, because I've got, you know, I haven't got the passion. I might have the passion for it, but I haven't got the innate passion and the time. So they've gone out of their way to find me to want to do this. So I'm like, right, you're going to do that. So then the paddleboarders as well, same kind of thing. The paddleboarders came, I saw some people paddleboarding, and I was like, guys, you know, why don't you come up to my place up here and we can start a little club for you. We'll get you a little area and some branding and start a little thing. And on the back of all this stuff, the council have now started a whole thing called Active Leeds. I don't know if you heard of this thing, Active Leeds. So there's a place in Gipton, and they've used Gipton as kind of an area to kind of, they need improvement, and Leeds Dock, Active Leeds Dock, is an area they've kind of put money into now and started a whole promotion about what we're doing here. So there's a running club, bike club, swimming, all this kind of stuff. And Leeds Dock now, not Leeds Dock, Leeds City Council are now part of the conversation. So we're getting kind of a wider reach, the council coming down. So again, promoting the estate for very, very little money, just having passionate and self-motivated people doing it for me, you know, which is great. So we always say to people, we're an open door. Any good idea, come and see us. We have a church, use one of our spaces, the Methodist Church. I was chatting to a guy just over a coffee. I'm quite chatty, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm the local parish vicar, but we don't have anywhere to kind of meet." And I was like, "Well, we've got a space. Why don't you come and use it every Saturday morning?" And then
every Saturday morning they do a little kind of community church, and then on the back of that, one of the guys who's part of the church, he'd never been to the dock before. He runs a massive business, and he's took a huge office space down here from the back of that. So it's like I don't do stuff thinking I might make, thinking this is going to lead to something, but you never know where it's going to lead to. But yeah, so luckily we're quite autonomous here as well. It's quite a flat structure company. The guy who owns this is just like, yeah, just crack on. So yeah, fine. Brilliant.
So I mean, I'm guessing, we kind of touched on how you got into it. But I'm guessing that the experience while you were at the council, that gave you a really good sort of grounding in the landscape in terms of providers, suppliers and things like that, that put you in good stead to kind of find people. Are you able to kind of source everything pretty locally, or do you how do you sort of, do you have any kind of ethic to the event, or is it just a sort of, we got to make this space look good, or you've got to make the brief?
Yeah, no, it's more like, don't be late and turn up.
Yeah.
Like I was saying before, and be nice. It's like when I take my younger kind of people who work with me to business meetings now, straight away they're like, how much is it? I'm like, listen, the people we're meeting, they're not brain surgeons. They're like a printer. There's a million printers in the world. They've come to meet us. They can do our printing for us. All I need to work out is, are they nice? Do I like them? Will they let me down? Because the price point in the printer is going to be pretty similar. Like they can print into printing really. And it's like, all we need to know is, if we phone them and we're in a shit, can they help me out?
Yeah.
Do they seem nice? Yeah. Are they going to be like, do we get on?
Yeah.
Do we get on with them? And that's basically it. And like, there's certain obviously levels where as I say, I worked in Leeds for like 20 years now, and I've used cowboys and I've met people, and you pay a bit more for the good guys, but you're paying for the fact that if I say put a fence there, I'm not going to go and check it. They're putting a fence there, and I know who I'm using, and they are all kind of local suppliers. And people folks say, "Oh, can I have a go at your printing?" I'm like, "Well, my guys haven't messed up. I'm not just going to sack them off." But if I ever need anyone, I might give you a shout. But until someone lets me down, I kind of just work with them. Whereas in the council, it's more like you have to do a kind of tender system, like a tender. But the problem is, working in an event, price isn't always the best tool to determine who you're going to use, because someone could be cheap, but their kit could be rubbish, whatever. You need to, there's a lot more factors which a council, you're not buying a pen. Which is, you're buying a service, which is hard to kind of quantify. So the cost, it's like the cost of a experienced person compared to a new person. Obviously they're going to be cheaper, but can they do the job? And it's hard to kind of put that into a tender process. But we were kind of forced a few times to use a cheaper supplier who didn't deliver the service or the quality that you would need or expect.
And for something like events, like reliability is so important.
It's not about cost. Cost obviously is a factor, but it's not the ultimate factor. Is kind of experience, reliability, and quality of kit, I suppose. And just if they're gonna, I always say like everyone always says to me, Alex, why do people do stuff for you? And I'm like, well, people do stuff for you because it's their job. But if I phone someone up because I'm in the shit, they're going to help me because I'm fair. I'm a fair person. It's like, I'm not screwing anyone down or whatever, but there's a lot of people who they turn to work and they'll work for you because that's their job. But if you was in trouble, they'd be like, I'm going home now. That's my work. My work's done. Sorry. But touch wood, if I'm in trouble, I can phone people and go, I'm really stuck at it. And most people would come out and help me out to get stuff done, because over the years, the working together, the experience had together, and just kind of more like friends. They're a lot more like friends, so it's like I work with people for like, as I say, 20 years now, and it's like I'm stuck, can you help me? And they're like, yeah, of course I will. Whereas some people who I work with, if they phone up the people, they'd be like, sorry, no, I can't do it. And it's relationships, which is what you don't really get from being on TikTok or being on kind of that kind of stuff. And it's hard to kind of teach relationships. And even when I go into classes now and speak to some kind of kid, you can see the ones who are engaged and the ones who aren't. And it's really, but maybe that's what you need. You're going to need people who are good at computers and good at doing in their own world, doing computers. with the AI, everything going on with there, and you're going to need people who are good with people. And I think the middle ones are going to kind of get lost. You either need to be great with people or great with computers. And I think in the middle, there's going to be a kind of, these jobs will be taken up by the people doing the computers and programming. And it's like, you need the human interaction, which is going to be key. And the computer interaction, which is going to be key for, I don't know, or whatever they do on the computers, whatever they do. But I think the human aspect is going to really need, if you can't do computers, be a nice person. Otherwise you're going to get lost, I think.
There is a real, I mean, with your job, it's kind of, it's placemaking, and there is a need for places and spaces, you know, to kind of cope with various levels of alienation and people being separate and stuck at home and working online and all these kind of things. It's like the weird thing of having more freedom but feeling more trapped. We're in this weird kind of, you know, we seem to have more of one thing and less of the other, but the scales are all weird.
It's a strange time, especially having as I say, my kids are like kind of young teenagers, and it's really interesting to kind of, they're on their phones and they love TV, but if I can get them out of the house into the outdoors, within 5 minutes, they're really enjoying themselves and they forget about their phones. That's the second they don't want to be on their phones when they're outdoors, and it's just it's just that bridging that gap. So by us doing stuff down here, which is accessible, most of it's free, you know, I'm fortunate to say to people, I don't have to do. I'm like, well, you can come and swim here. You can come and run here for free. You can come and do all this stuff if you just step outside your door. That's the hardest part, is getting people actually to do it. Or come and look at some art, walk down a canal. Like, you don't have to spend money. The Royal Armouries is free. There's stuff you can do that doesn't cost any money, but it's sometimes easier just to go watch Netflix. It's fine. I'll just scroll through. But I've done it. I'm sure you ever sat on your phone before you know it, you're 3 hours in. You're like, where's it gone?
But I equally remember, you know, like being a teenager, I remember huge periods of boredom and like living in the city and like even when you were sort of 18, you could go out and drink. It's kind of like, it's so boring though. So you can imagine why, like, I can imagine, you know, you're going to go straight to your phone because it seems exciting. There's stuff on there, but it does make you not want to go outside.
Yeah, but then I think it gives me the upper hand. What I do now is like, I used to turn up when I first started doing events. You turn up with a van full of kit, and basically the gate opens at 10. No matter what, the gate's open. People are here at 10. Make it work. Whereas kids now, they'll be like, well, what? They've got no, it's hard imagination or making things happen. That is a skill, and it is like you can't. And only experience to teach that. You can't learn it from looking at a video or whatever. But it's like you just have to be out there doing it, and I always say to people who work for me, like, just come and give it a go. And, you know, and you can tell within an hour whether they're going to want to kind of muck in or not, you know, or if they want to, like, anything I ask anyone to do, I would do, I have done myself. There's nothing I've never just, I'll put my hand down, I've done it all, down toilets, swept, like whatever. Like, there's nothing I wouldn't do, because at that, I was always kind of in my head, it's like the gates open at 10. People are coming at 10 o'clock. This has to happen. And I've always kind of felt kind of like my work ethic been like, this has to happen. Like, that's my job. And it's like, it's anything I've ever done, I'm always like, now I'm like, we can't be late. I'll upset my wife, my kids. I'm like, even if I've never met this person before, I can't be late. And like, I'd rather shout at my wife and kid to hurry up and to meet someone I've never met before, because I can't be late. It's not in me to be late, or, you know, because it's like I just need to make it happen no matter what. And I'm like, even a stranger, I'm like, I've said I'm going to meet him. They're like, yeah, but why? And they're like, your kid's broke their leg, she's giving birth or whatever. I'm like, but I can't be late. I have to be there. I'm going to be there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to jump into COVID here, because we're going to touch on because I'll touch on sort of work ethic-y stuff and like how you like to, and the amount that you work. And I think as well, because it's touching upon potential sort of illness. So as we went into lockdown, I want you to think back. Did you end up working more or less the same as we were going into lockdown? And then sort of coming out of lockdown, was there anything that changed for you permanently work-wise?
Yeah. So going into COVID, it was,
Were you still at the council then, or are you?
no,
Right.
I'd left the council and
Yeah.
I was working for a private company
Yeah.
for this, who I'm with, who we're now.
Yeah.
So, we was kind of like trying to work out how we can basically, so the way it works for me is my budget is funded by our tenants. So every tenant on our estate, they pay a certain amount of money for each square foot to me to make it a nice place to work. The same as like a service charge, that kind of works. Service charge, same kind of thing as that. So it's called a promo charge. So we were thinking, right, if we're not doing stuff, no one's going to be, they'd be like, well, we're not going to pay any promo charge because there's, nothing's going on. So we was like, right, we better start writing blogs or stuff for people to do at home, recipes, and just trying to make up stuff to keep us kind of busy. And then about 2 months in, I kind of went on furlough. So I was just like, right, okay, what's kind of happening now? So I was still in touch with my colleagues at work because they kind of still need to know what was going on and whatever. But it was kind of like a casual kind of conversations and whatever. The thing I found with furlough was it would have been great if they said, right, you got whatever, 6 months off, but you're coming back. The problem was each month I was thinking, they're doing all right without me here. Am I even going to be coming back to work? So whilst I was off, I just kind of spent a lot of time like researching what other companies are doing with their kind of spaces and how things may change or what might happen when I get back into work, if I get back into work, and kind of how it was kind of happening. So in my own kind of time, I kind of implemented a policy. We called it a blue tick policy, where we kind of said all of our, how do we make our spaces, people feel safe in our retail spaces. So we had this blue tick on each building. It was like a 6-point thing, like staff wash their hands and there's markings on the floor. So we had this kind of thing to when people did start coming back, we had a really easy to roll out, easy to understand thing we called it the blue tick, whatever. And it was stuck on every building, and it was just like a really easy kind of system. And on the back of that, one of my colleagues put it in for some kind of property awards, and we got voted some kind of return to work kind of thing. And it was just like, to me, it's just common sense. Obviously, it's not that common. I was like, right, well, if people are feeling a certain way, how can you make them not feel a certain way? And it's like, right, if we say we're doing this, and this, with all the kind of the top 5 spheres, and we say, well, these are now controlled as much as we can, you should be able to come back to your office. But on also the back of that, a lot of offices who would maybe have 100 desks, they only might now need 50. So we're like, oh shit, we're going to lose like half of our occupiers because work from home, blah, blah, whatever. And we had some really big spaces, like NatWest had a call center on one of our spaces. And obviously they would never, ever invest the amount of money to let everyone work from home for no reason. But obviously with COVID, they invested loads of money so everyone can work from home, obviously saving them money, offices, blah, blah, blah. Why would they ever come back? So we're obviously seeing that coming. But we're kind of seeing the effect of it kind of now, because they've been in long kind of like 10-year, 5-year leases and they couldn't just get out. But we're seeing it kind of in the last kind of 2 years coming up to now, these big offices, they're now leaving. So during COVID, they couldn't get out. They're still paying their money. We couldn't do anything to reduce the rates because it's like a legal, whatever lease. It's not, I don't really know about property. I'm not a property person, but basically they had to keep paying their kind of lease because they were in the lease and they couldn't break it, even though it's COVID. They're not coming in. Whatever. But now they're like, right, we only need half the space and everyone's downsizing. So that is kind of hitting us now. It didn't really affect us too much during COVID because the money's still coming in, but it's affecting us a lot more now when people are leaving the offices when they can.
It's one of those weird things, isn't it? It's where it's like when there's a recession and people cut marketing and training, and it's like, you need to invest in those now. I know they seem like superfluous. It's like, you're needed now more than ever, because it's like, well, I'm going to bring new people into these spaces. I'm here to do that. Whereas because people see it dropping off, they're like, oh no, that's a luxury thing. It's like, no, it's
just a spiral, then, isn't it?
It's foundational. Yeah.
Yeah.
So are
We ran
you, is it opening up opportunities for you, or are you feeling more of a squeeze
um,
from that?
it's definitely changed. We've just opened a new space at Leeds called Department, which
Mm,
is a kind of co-work serviced office space,
mm,
and that's fully let. So people are having the opportunity now, so that you might have had before an office, a traditional office with 30 desks and an office manager and whatever managing the thing for you. So now you might come to us and go, we want 20 desks and we want to have our 30 staff. You come in Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and you come in whatever. And through having that, you're guaranteed electric bills, you're guaranteed cleaners.
mhm.
It's all included, so you know exactly where you're at. Obviously now with cost of living and electricity bills, one of our buildings we used to have an all-in policy where all your bills are kind of covered. So we budgeted, I think, maybe 300 grand for this big building for electric. I think the bill came in at 900.
Whoa.
So we're thinking, obviously we can't get the money from anyone.
Yeah.
We've got to find that money.
Yeah,
because
you've got to already have factored that into your prices. It's like,
yeah, but no one can factor in this massive increase in kind of electric, like 600 grand.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, it's not something like, luckily it's not on my kind of watch, but so now obviously we changed from the model and done whatever, but
kill a business
yeah,
though.
yeah, of course. So yeah, what we've seen is people now want a serviced office with a barista in there, or like more. There's less stress for them. So
Yeah.
there's no office manager. They don't have to pay for that person. There's not all this kind of admin that goes with it. You just know each month you're paying your rent, and you're going to have 20 desks that are clean. You've got amenity around. You've got a nice place to work. You've got, if someone breaks, you phone up us and go, my light's broken. We fix it. Or there's no heating or whatever it is. It's like, it's more, people are more wanting a service space, and the people who do want an office, they want it smaller, but with more kind of meeting rooms. So like, it's more kind of people are coming in less. Yeah. It's kind of it's a weird one for us being in property. So we don't really work from home because it's a bit odd if we're sat in our spare room going, come and buy an office. It's great. Like, well, you're sat in your spare room.
Yeah.
So I come in 5 days a week. But as I say, I really enjoy coming in. I'm just meet people and find stuff out. And all of a sudden someone says, I want to start a video club. I'm like, oh yeah, we got a space. And then from then I just put it out on social. We've got another club going on. And the people are like, so when people come to look at the space, they go, we can sell that as a benefit of being here. So yeah, it's all kind of adds to it. But yeah, COVID was a straight. It's still kind of, it's kind of hitting us now more than it did at the time. Obviously it hits at the time, but it's continuing to hit us in property.
Yeah. I mean, even if it had gone away completely, if we killed it and it got rid of it, it's still going to have the fallout effects of, several billion people will be indoors for 2 years or however.
Yeah, and I do get the call center one, or if you're a call center and you spent the money on investing all the infrastructure to work from home, why would you want an office? You could say, right, team A, which used to be 1,000 staff. So now you've got team A, which is 100 staff. You go, right, team A, you come in Monday. Team B, you come into office Tuesday. We'll have a catch up. We'll have a little social. But like, you only need 100 desks. You don't need the amount, whatever it is now. So it's like, I totally understand. If I was in charge, I'd be like, this is brilliant. I'm saving money. And we're doing, so then it's like, so then what we have to do is we make these service spaces really nice. So your team comes in here once a week and we have croissants for you. We have whatever it is. So we can make it an occasion to come in. So rather than going to another office, you come to our office because we've got all the extra stuff. You might want to go to the gym at lunchtime or whatever it may be. We've got some Mexican street food today or whatever it is. So it's like, it's just making a lot more smaller touch points during the day rather than doing a big event. We're going, right, we'll do 20 smaller ones throughout the month rather than one big one on a Tuesday when no one's going to be here, or maybe 100 staff, whereas you might have to go, right, we've got to do live drawing 3 times a week to hit everyone. We've got to do this to hit everyone rather than one big event.
Yeah. I mean, you've got to, there's a lot to think about. You can see why, like, and I can't believe it took so long for someone to create a degree in it. because you're very much thinking about your audience, you're thinking about the resources that are available to you, the space that you're allowed, and like the thing that you want to market and how you want to market. Like you say, with those little events, they can be more impactful than the big events sometimes. Like the big
They're
events can be more visible, but
yeah.
because
But
people get used
but
to.
you've only got one hit. You've only
Yeah.
got one hit at a big event. If it rains,
Yeah.
or if there's a train strike,
Yeah.
or whatever it is, there's
Yeah.
so many factors that can affect one big event. You spent 50 grand, and you could do 50 for a grand, which you're going to bigger reach. You could do. It's a lot to think about.
Okay, so we'll do Brexit next. So yeah, question straightforward on this: has there been any change in your work since we have Brexited? Can you tell? Like, I mean,
the only thing is, this morning we had a big piece of art from Germany for Light Night, and they've only just connected it this morning, and it's just the only thing that's affected is just a bit more tricky to kind of get stuff from Europe. It's a thing called a CarNet. I learned all about it, but it's pretty boring. Just to import pieces of art or import anything, you need a certain number. Apart from that, it's not really affecting me. I do travel to Europe quite a bit with work to look at artists and look at other. There's Amsterdam Light Night, one in Lisbon, a few other bits and bobs that we can kind of visit, but it's not much really affecting me. Maybe things are a bit more expensive, but you can't tell whether it could be anything why it's more expensive. You could just be because it's Tuesday, it's more expensive. It doesn't really, things are just more expensive now. But yeah, on the kind of, from my experience, nothing really changed too much. There's a bit more paperwork involved in importing artwork from, let's say we had some stuff from Germany for Light Night. It's just a bit more kind of paperwork, but I hear people talking about we do a lot of kind of fit out and building stuff, and things are a bit more expensive, but yeah,
nothing
really
that you've experienced yet. Yeah.
No.
Just on, you sort of travel into various places. So Amsterdam wise, so I'll tell you a little quick story. So I used to live in Amsterdam for 2 years, and this Dutch guy there told me about, they sent someone out around Europe when they were designing various places in Amsterdam to look at how they did it in these various cities. And he came back and he was like, put all these squares in for people to sit outside. And then everyone was like, why did you do that? It rains lots here.
Yeah.
You've gone to Italy and it's like, we're all sitting outside in the rain. But did you ever do museum night in Amsterdam?
No, I've not seen that one.
That's really good. So I think it's just free. They open all the museums in the city late into the night. And you go around, and it's a good opportunity to get, because a lot of the time you're working through the day, you don't really want to go to the museum at the weekend. It's open in the evening, and it's quite a popular event. It's a good night. Yeah,
I was trying to get the Royal Hours to do one night at the museum. Make them open late.
Yeah,
I've done it in London with my kids. We went to stay there. You sleep over with a Diplodocus. You can sleep in the Natural History Museum. Yeah, but they don't. Yeah, we've tried it here. But yeah, like we're saying about going around Europe looking at stuff. So it's like I like to look at stuff. I don't like to just go, I'll have that. It's like, can I work with you? Some artists don't like it, so it's not for me. But some artists are like, let's have a conversation. Maybe can we put it on the water? Can we add sound? Can we add whatever it is just to make it slightly different than what they've done before? Some artists are like, no, this is whatever. It's like, fine, whatever. But some of them are like, no, let's have a conversation and see where we get to. But again, it's a bit tricky because a lot of art now is just the way they use technology. And my background in events, I'm like, that's just a light, and you're charging me extra. And like, I feel tight going, I can do that for like a fifth of the price. Yeah. Obviously, they've come up with the idea and they've done whatever, and it's like, when they say to me, I say, look, I like your idea. I'll pay you for your idea, but I can't pay you that because I'm not an idiot. Yeah. But I get it. Like my brother's an artist, and he's like, I'm like, I get it. Yeah. But I'm not an idiot, and I'm not paying. I think in Oxford Street a few years back, some lady had basically a big white sheet hung across Oxford Circus, and with a light projecting onto it. I was like, this looks cool. So I got hold of her, and I was chatting to them, and they was like, this is brilliant. I think we could do it over here, and it would work. And they were like, perfect. And I was like, how much is it? And she was like, 90 grand. And I was like, 90 grand? She's like, whatever. I'm like, to me, it's a 10 grand piece of work. Like, I get it. You got to make money. but come on, like, so it's kind of a bit of a conflict of paying an artist and then getting ripped off. And I always work with artists. I always pay them, but it's like, I have to have a conversation. I don't, you know,
it's like you can see the work that's gone into it, sort of thing. It's like, I know how that's done. I know how to do that. I could do that myself. Like, you've not done anything. The concept's great, but that's,
and I'll pay you for the concept. Like, I'll pay you for the concept, or even then, sometimes you're like, well, I could do that, but I can maybe do it different. So same but different. And it's like, I don't want to infringe anyone, but I will give you $5,000 and I'll do it myself. And I will say inspired by or whatever. So you've done nothing. You got a nice whatever $5,000 check. And it's like, some of them are like, no, don't do it. And I'm like, what? Like but it's like, so then I now even make my own art. So I draw stuff and I get a welder to weld it. I don't call myself an artist. I just make them, get stuff made. It's like, but then for Light Night, they're like, some of my pieces that I'm like an artist now. Some of the bits I've cobbled together, people are like, can we hire this of you? And I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. And it's like, what's art? Like I always say, is it Andy Warhol, it's like, art's whatever you can get away with. And it's like, that's basically where I'm at. And it's like, if you can get away with charging someone $100,000 for that sheet, crack on. But it's not going to be me. So fair enough. Do you know, fair enough.
I'm not your idiot.
Yeah. Maybe I should do that as my next piece of neon. I had some neon up in one of my sites. It was, what did I have? It was, I think I put no selfies in like neon, and everyone's like obviously taking a selfie with it. So like, yeah.
Okay, so let's do social media then. I think we're going to spend a bit of time on this. So,
social
media wise, obviously it's vital for your work, I'm guessing. Do you feel that it gives a good return on investment for the effort that you put in?
I think the problem with social media is it's hard to convey reality. In the cold light of day, things don't look like they do that we capture. So I might get a photographer to capture something and it looks amazing. Then I show my kids, they come down and go, what's this? I'm like, it doesn't marry up. So it's like, how do you get the balance between looking great and actually what it actually looks like to the average kind of person? So it's like, we use social media all the time, and it's like, we curate it really like beautifully on all of our Instagrams, which we use for curating like an image. Then we might use Facebook for conveying messaging. And then we use kind of TikTok just for kind of fun, whatever. So it's like, depending on which market we're after, what we're trying to achieve, it's knowing which social to kind of attack it or post to, or how we post to it. But it's crazy now. That's like, obviously now it's a massive, huge market. But 10 years ago, it wasn't even a job. And it's like, there's going to be there'll be jobs that don't even exist now. You won't even think of. And I heard the other day, there's a job for writing AI prompts. That's a job. So a copywriter would write the prompt for the AI to get the information out. So it's like, kind of with social, it's a massive part of our world. It's all we use, and it's how we like is LinkedIn social media.
Yeah.
So that's our B2B tool to attract a lot of people. We use that to attract tenants and to say, if you're wanting to move here rather than somewhere else, we will use that as a kind of showcase. Then for Instagram, it's more just to make things look beautiful. To go, the Instagram market is, this looks beautiful, so it might be a swan or Keith the herons flown into the dock or whatever, or our water taxis. So it's like, it's just curating the perfect picture so people want to take that picture themselves, and whilst they're here, they buy a coffee, or you got a restaurant, I'll kind of buy a drink. Whereas Facebook, we use a lot for messaging to kind of like the parents. It's kind of an older, kids aren't on Facebook now. It's like my mum or whatever. But even going back to what we were saying before, the kind of 18 to 25 market, they're not on social. They don't do it. They're not on Snapchat because that's for little kids. They're not on TikTok, that's for little kids under 18. So it's like, how do you get that 18 to 25s? And that's the analog, put a poster up, share a WhatsApp message, talk about it. It's not, so it's not cool for the 18, 25-year-olds to be on social media. So that's it. How do we attract that market where it's more just doing fun stuff that people hear about, which is again, it's like we're doing one event, but we need to have 5 messages. So it's like, how do we do that? So it's like, luckily, I just do what I want to do. It's like, and at the minute, it's kind of working. So there's going to be a point when it doesn't. And it's like, well, what's my exit for that? But at the minute, I kind of quite fortunate that I kind of hit most markets. I've got kids. I know younger people. I know older people. I'm oldish. It's like, right. So we can kind of make it work by just hitting different markets with the social. One event, but 5 different versions of it on 5 different socials. So it's like, then you got to brief a photographer. I need one for Instagram, one for LinkedIn. I need this for that. And then it's just like, it's just understanding what they want to see and you having the right people to capture it for you, I suppose. Because otherwise, there's a massive market for the unattended. It's like, you've missed out on this. You want to come to our next one. It looks cool. You've missed out. We only maybe had 1,000 people. So we got to the point where it was like, we didn't need to advertise. We just said, this is happening. And people knew we'd done cool stuff. So they'll come to it rather than trying to, like, by saying you're cool and selling it, it doesn't work. You have to just let it happen. So it's like, we just need, the unattended is obviously a bigger market than the attending. So how do we tell the unattended how great it was by capturing it? So again, after the event is even kind of maybe a bigger market than even before the event. You're saying, you missed out on this. Next time, you want to be here. So then we might say on the back of that video, we got an event happening in a month's time. Make sure you're here or whatever. We don't know what it is yet, but it's going to be as cool as this. So you want to be here.
Yeah.
So the unattended so it's like there's a whole process of social, which I don't fully understand myself. We got someone who does that in-house with us as well. But I kind of understand enough to know how I need to make things look on social.
And as well, I mean, the time at Leeds City Council, that's going to give you an expertise in not just your suppliers and stuff, but what people respond to, what they come out to, what they like, what they, and the areas of the city where things work to a degree, at least. Like, you must have a sense of, okay, so we're doing this kind of thing. That'll probably work really well over here in this area with these groups.
No, it's kind of, in the council, you don't really have that approach. You have to be everyone's
everyone all the time. Yeah. Okay.
So you're just casting as net as wide as you can.
Yeah.
Which is kind of, doesn't really work. Like, you might invest all this money in trying to attract one person to an event when you got 100,000 coming and you're trying to attract these 10 people who might not want to be there. And it's like, concentrate on the ones who are there. Like, I always think, you can't please everyone all the time. And that's kind of where the council, when I was there, it was trying to do. It's like, and one of the reasons I kind of left it was like, it just got to the point where you're like, everything, like you said, everything for everyone all the time. And things aren't for everyone all the time. Unfortunately, it's like, everyone doesn't want the same thing.
Yeah. We have discretion for a reason. We like to discriminate and go, I don't like that. I don't want that. I'll have this.
Yeah. Yeah. But at the council, you might have said, we're going to put an opera in somewhere they don't want opera. And it's like, why? Well, because one person has said they want it here. It's like, right, okay, but there's 10,000 who don't. And that one person has wrote an email and we're going to do it. Yeah, we are. Yeah. Right. Okay, fine, whatever. You can't question it. You're just cracking on and doing it. So you do this event and 3 people turn up and everyone else is walking past going, what's this shit? Why are you doing this? Wasting our money. And it's like, I could have told you that, but you do what you do, don't you? And it's interesting why I kind of left. So we done the Tour de France and that was great for the city. The first Tour de France came to Leeds. I think it was 2015 or 2014, something like that. And I was part of the team to deliver it into the city. And at that point, the council is the biggest employer in the city, possibly. So it's got the most, and it was the biggest resource and it was amazing. So you'd phone up the highways and go, there's a pothole here. They come and fix it. You go, we could do some plants in this bit. It looks a bit rubbish. So they come and put some plants in. There's rubbish here, clean it up. And everyone just phoned up and everyone was working as a massive team. It was brilliant. The Tour de France rode out of town, everyone left. We're like, can we just get some help? Nah, who's paying for it? It's like, why has it got from being a massive team organization where everyone worked for one goal? Yeah. It was great. And the next day, it just collapsed again. And I was like, I I'm done with this now, because it was like, it could have been, it could be the great for the city.
If we're all working together, this all works amazingly. Yeah.
Yeah. Because you're like, oh yeah, I'm in my council van, I'm driving past this pothole, I've got some tarmac in the back, I'll just fill the hole in this pothole.
Yeah.
No, but no one said to do it.
Yeah.
Oh, I would carry on. Or there's a bit of rubbish there in my rubbish truck, we should pick it up. No, we'll just go back to the depot. It's like, and again, back to the council when I was there, it was like, I always say to people as well, like, there's no punishment and no reward. So unless you've got a self inside you to do a good job, you could just turn up and sit at your desk all day, with your arms folded for 8 hours, and you probably get away with it, which is a shame. But there's people who want a job who can't get one, because these people are just there through time served. And it's like, right, well, no punishment, no reward. So it's like, unless your reward is doing a good job, you don't have to do it.
Yeah, I know.
Which is a shame, because it's the biggest resource in the city, and it could be great if everyone who was there had, if there was one vision to make Leeds, whatever, the best city in the world, and everyone was working towards that, I'm sure it'd be great. And if everyone who went for a job interview and they were honest and said, I want to make Leeds the best city in the world, if everyone said that, and everyone turned up and everyone done their job to that one vision or one goal, you got an amazing city, because you'd be going to work and you see some rubbish, put it in the bin. You're going to work, you see something, and you do it. You don't ignore it. So if everyone's working to that goal, it could easily happen. With the amount of staff they've got, it could easily happen. And then the money would be saved, can invest in social schemes, whatever, because the money gets wasted on just wasting like time and whatever and resource. It's just crazy. So that's my, that's changed the world. Changed the world.
Yeah, but the problem is with any public spending is you've always got to spend a fortune on accounting for the spend.
Consultations.
So like, I need to spend money on what I've spent money on. Writing down what I've spent money on.
Well, yeah, it's the same, isn't it? It's the same as the government and civil service, how they should just, in my opinion, the civil service should just do the job without being told a certain agenda. But anyway, that's a whole nother
rant.
Yeah, another rant, another middle-aged rant about something. Yeah.
This is what podcasts are for.
Yeah. Ranting.
Yeah. So let's do climate change. So does it affect your work? Has it affected your work in any way that you can kind of see?
It kind of winds me up a lot as well about climate change and all the kind of the greenwashing and whatever goes on. It's like, my partner works for a company called Situ, so they sustainable housing, and they kind of really mean it. The whole supply chain is investigated and they kind of work it. But a lot of companies who we kind of do, we zero carbon. Like, we on about, I've just seen an Amazon truck delivering all your stuff, probably from China. It's like, I always just say, I do what I can.
Yeah.
Like, I do the best I can. And it's like, if I can work with someone who's got, all our energy is green as far as we're told, and we do what we can. Like, we have recycling bins and do whatever at the kind of level the level I can control, I will control as best I can. But when people are like, oh yeah, with this, that, it's like, but are you? Like, I've seen on your building site, you've got forklift trucks. You can get electric ones. You can get, why are you using concrete? Like, what, like all these conversations, which people like just kind of spout about, is kind of tricky. Part of our company, we've set up a sustainability kind of division, which we've got a full-time employee who kind of looks at doing the best we can. Like, everyone knows you're never going to, I think if you just say we're doing the best we can, that's a brilliant answer, because, you're doing the best you can with what you have available. And it's like, by saying, aiming for this, and this, and we're doing this, it's like, okay, but have you checked your staff are all driving in, are they? Can we not, is there not a better way we can do it? Can we not, we've just put some electric chargers at our place here, and it's like, obviously it's not a huge kind of thing, but it's what we can do. We can affect that kind of change. We've got bikes here. We're working with City Bike to put bikes on our site. And it's like all these small changes, eventually the thing's going to happen. But yeah, as I say, it's a huge part of our company's push to be sustainable as we can. And I think that's a kind of fair way to kind of, without sticking your head right by the parapet and going to get caught out, because that's the worst, saying something, getting caught out because you're just like an idiot. It's like, you need you need some accountability as well. And if you're prepared to say, we're doing this, and I say to you, what about that? And it becomes, it doesn't really marry up for me.
Yeah. I think the accountability thing, like, is really spot on. It's a huge thing. It's the whole thing of, like, it's great to have ambition and goals and stuff. And you can say that and say, this is what we're striving towards, but show us some evidence of it. What's the proof? What's the, like, how's it going? What are the numbers? What's the reality of it? Anyone could just say something.
Of course. Yeah, of course. And it's like, we could say, we do all the recycling. Someone could come and ask us, and we could show them a printout of what's been recycled, what's gone where, and whatever. And our company we work with, they, so anything we can do, that's not going to, like, as you say, being accountable is like, our energy suppliers uses green energy. I think it's, so I don't know what they're called. I don't get involved in that, but I know it's green energy, and I know we've got chargers, we've got bikes. We encourage active getting to work. We have bike lockers here. We have showers. There's stuff we try and make it easier, because no one wants anything hard. People want easy. No one wants it. Right? We could say, all right, we're going to get electric bus driver to your house, but it's only going to leave at 8:30. They don't want that. It needs to be easy. Everything needs to be easy. So people don't like choice or challenge. So it's like, they just want ease. So, yeah, it's make it as easier as we can for them. If we're going to say we're going to use green energy, but it's going to cost you 1% more, or whatever it is, they're not going to bother really. They'll be like, yeah, fine, crack on. But if we're going to say we're going to use green energy, but you have to use your laptops at 8 and 5, whatever, they'll be like, no, I can't be bothered. Like, whatever, I'll just do whatever. And it's like, so it's just, we do as best we can, and we are, anything we say, we back up with evidence. And as I say, we got a it's called Form Sustainability, which we've set up recently, which we go into businesses and we kind of do what we do. We look at what they're doing and say, you can do this better, or we can, solar panels, bins, whatever it is, like practical steps that can lead towards change. But yeah, there's a lot of companies that we do it with, for like a B Corp and striving for these kind of huge kind of targets. But yeah, I think we are doing what we can.
I think, there is a lot of stuff to greenwash, but I think most businesses are, most people, most businesses were way ahead of government for a long time as well on green agenda stuff. And it's like, and where there are obvious money savings, a lot of people are just like, well, it makes more sense to go with these guys for our energy because it's cheaper, it's renewable, it makes us look good. Like, there are loads of those sort of obvious common sense sort of things now. So I want to go into, we're doing kind of okay for time. So I want to do into the change question now. So I think this would be really interesting with you.
Okay.
So if you could change any 3 things about your work, they can be realistic, fantastical. You don't have to pick 3 if you don't want to. If you could change any 3 things about your work, what would you change?
I would change the weather, guaranteed weather. I would love to know where we're at. I go to Canada in the summer, and you're going to get reasonable weather. So you can plan a barbecue on Saturday, because you're probably going to get decent enough weather for a barbecue.
It's going to be summer.
So here I'm planning an event, and you're planning for rain, sun, wind, whatever. So it's like, it makes things a lot more tricky. And if you knew it was going to get, I think the weather, I could be a lot more pinpoint and focused on what I'm trying to do. So weather would be a good one to change. Probably budgets as well. It'd be good to get. To be fair, I don't know, because budgets are changing. Because if you know where you're at, you know where you're at. If you've got unlimited budgets, the sky's the limit. And it's like, I do some bits of freelance work, and people kind of go, I want to do, for example, like a birthday party. I'm like, what's your budget? And they're like, well, come up with some ideas. And I'm like, well, let me ask you this. How much does a holiday cost? And they're like, well, where am I going? I'm like, well, exactly. Like, if you don't tell me a budget, I could do anything. So if you tell me about the holiday, are you going to Scarborough or the Seychelles? Like, you need to know a budget. So I think talking about, probably a budget, probably is a bit of everyone will probably say, I want more money, but it's like, but do you? Like, unlimited money. It's like, you probably want more, but not unlimited. So probably, yeah, I'd want more budget, but not unlimited budget, like a nice, healthy budget. A healthy budget would be nice. And what else should I change? I'll probably change people to not be so miserable. Like, I don't understand.
Sounds like you've been in the north too long.
No, it's not sound miserable people.
And people happier.
The northern people are quite happy, to be fair to them. To be fair, it's more just the people who turn up something and go, "This is rubbish. Go home then." Like, why are you coming? Like, or just negative people.
Yeah.
It's like, I just don't get it. Like, why are you here?
Yeah, you've
like,
just come along to moan. Oh, it's shit, Nate. Oh God.
Yeah. And it's like, some low people say to me, I pay my council tax for this. I'm like, no, it's private estate.
Yeah.
Oh, well, like, they've always got something to moan about. It's like, well, why? Why are you moaning? Like, it's free. Like, don't, like, what? What do you mean? What do you want to do?
You don't have to do it. You can walk by.
I know, yeah, exactly. People just love to moan. So
I think a lot of
maybe
people hate other people having fun though as well. There's this like real thing of like, oh, they're enjoying themselves over there. Why are they enjoying themselves? I'm not.
Yeah.
They shouldn't.
Yeah, and I always just say to people, okay, what do you want? And then no one knows.
I want everyone to be miserable like me.
Yeah, but negative people goes back again to kind of a work thing where people come to work and hate their jobs.
Yeah.
It's like, why'd you do that?
Yeah.
Like, my dad hated his job. I spoke to him and he said he hated his job. And he was there for 40 years.
Yeah.
I'm like, why did you stay? Every job I've had,
Pension.
if I don't like it, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
Like, I always find something to do.
Yeah.
There's always something to do. And if I have to start at the bottom somewhere, I'd hope I've got enough about me. Within a certain amount of time, I'd be climbing that ladder to somewhere. Because, like, there's always some, like, I just don't know people who are cut up for work and like negative. There's someone who wants your job. Like, why are you here? Like, you'll be waste of time. Literally waste of time. Negative people, yeah, that I'll change negative people. Yeah, that'd be another rant. I feel like I'm ranting the whole time.
Give a man a microphone.
Yeah.
So I want to just go back onto the money thing that you mentioned with the budgets and stuff. How do you feel about the creativity angle of like having less resources and having to be more creative with stuff? I get the feeling you're kind of like, there's a place for that, but when I want more money, I think you're being quite practical with the money of like, when I need to do certain things, like I've got no money to fix this safety feature or to add this particular thing. Is that more where
it's like kind of with kind of budgets, there's always, I always say to people, I'm a really good buyer. I hate selling. I'm not a good salesman, but I'm a really good buyer. I can bargain to people. I can get kind of good deals and stuff. And it's like, but I always feel like there's more, as things happen or things get built or things kind of going on, I'm like, we could do this now, but I've run out of money. Or it's like, I always kind of think, wouldn't this be great? We've built it. And I'm like, wouldn't it be great if we added X, but that's another $5,000. I'm like, we haven't got any more money. So I'm quite creative enough. I get bored really, really easily. So I'm like, I've done that now. Right, let's add to it. Let's make something better. So it's like, once I've built it, I'm like, wow, we could do this now. We could fly it in the air, or we could add sound to it. We could get a better DJ. We could make a soundtrack, or we could add more lights, or we could add another one of them things to make them 5. Rather than 5, we've got 7 now. So it's like, I'm quite easily distracted with it. So I'm like, right, once you've done it, I'm like, right, let's make it. So what I have to do is I have to go, right, next year we'll do this, but better.
Yeah.
And I know how now, and I know I can see how practically we can make it work, and I know how we're going to do it. So let's do it. I've had to kind of rein myself in because it's not my money. I have to go, right, we'll do it next year.
Like, I get the feeling that was quite a learning curve to getting used to sort of have to say no to myself. I can do it later. It doesn't need to be done now.
Yeah.
Like, just because I've had that idea.
And all the lads who I've got working, or people working for me, I'm like, let's change it. And I'm like, fucking hell. They always come down here and yeah. And then they know that it's not going to be as we've discussed.
Yeah.
So they bring kit, and I go, right, bring some stuff. And this is what the rough idea is. But as we're doing it, things might change. And again, it probably goes back to working with people who I know are flexible. They're not just like, well, you've paid me to do X and I'm doing X. I'm like, yeah, but now we're going to do X, Y, and Z as well.
Mm.
So the people who I work with know that, and they kind of enjoy it as well. They enjoy the kind of solving a problem. So I'm not that technical, but I'm more like, right, let's make this happen. They're like, we can't do that, but we can do this. And I'm like, well, but can we do this? And like, yeah, but it's going to make me work an extra 5 hours. And yeah, crack on. You can work 5 hours more. So like working collaboratively on this kind of stuff is quite good. But I like the fact that we can, with nothing set in stone. It's not we're quite fluid, and when we're working, so working with people and having them extra money would make that easier to kind of be more fluid, to know. But I'm always working to my budgets. I'm never thinking, if I just have a little contingency, I can add it in. I'm like, no, let's work to the top, and we'll work it out later. We'll work it out somehow.
Cool. Okay, so I'm going to do the UBI question. So, if there was a universal basic income, if you were getting paid an amount of money each month, that you could use for whatever, but it was a guaranteed regular amount, everybody gets this amount. How do you think that might change your work? Would it change your work? Would you not notice it? Would it not make a difference?
I looked into it because, I never heard of it before. I didn't know what it was. So I had a little look into it. Just clarify what it actually means. So it means that everyone gets the same money.
So everyone's getting an amount of money. It's like, yeah, you're all...
Like pocket money.
Well, so they've done a trial. They've done 2 pilots in England, one in Jarrow and one in somewhere else that I've forgotten. And they were giving them £1,600 a month. So everyone was getting £1,600 a month. So
as well as their wages?
No, it's like a benefit, but it's a benefit that everybody gets. So there's no administration, there's no like means testing.
So I would get it.
You'd get it, I'd get it, everybody would get it. There would be arguments about at what age people would get it and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, everybody's getting paid an amount of money. So you have a guarantee of X amount every month. So you've got a regular payment that can help you plan. It could be small, it could be larger. But
nice, isn't
it? It'd be helpful, wouldn't it? But yeah, would it make you less reliant on work? Would it make you want to work more? Would it give you more freedom to try things and experiment? How do you think it would affect things for you?
Me personally, I think, as I say, I've always enjoyed my work. I like coming to work. I don't really see it as a chore. So I think I'd always want to be doing something. But like, I think I can see people, we run the water taxes in Leeds. They're part of my portfolio. There's a kind of funny story. It was in Amsterdam for a staff party, and the boss was there. I think he had a few drinks, and he come to a colleague of mine. He said, "I've just bought 2 water taxes."
I wondered why they had Dutch numbers on.
Yeah. So he literally had a few drinks, and he's like, "We own water taxis now. Get them to Leeds." This is when we just bought the dock, so it's like a marketing thing.
Yeah,
they were free, so you could come to Leeds dock from town for free. So it's like, how do we get people to the dock? And he's like, we'll do that. He's quite a maverick kind of guy. He's just buying 2 water taxis. So they came to Leeds anyway. But I can imagine people like that who are currently like basically 0-hour contracts, because where they're at, I think it would make a big difference to them kind of guys, people on them kind of levels. But for me personally, I think it would be a nicer bit of food coming in, and like I wouldn't really think much.
Pay your gas bills or whatever.
Yeah, I wouldn't really think, I'll stop working or do whatever, because as I say, I never had any ambition to get to where I'm at and earn what I do, which is nice. So I'm not like, I really want to do another job. I hate my job. I hate my whatever. As I say, I get the freedom to kind of do what I want to do, which you can't ask for more. So it's like, I don't know why I would want to really change that by having, thinking, I'll go and get a job, a little kind of, there's always kind of that job where people want to just come to work and go home and then think about it, like what is the ultimate job? And someone said to me the other day about that, it's like an air traffic controller. You turn up for work, you sit in a chair, and in that, for the 8 hours or whatever long it is, that's your job. But as soon as you get out of that chair, you're going home.
A nightmare.
I know, yeah. But like, it's like, what kind of job is there where you don't think about your job at all at home? And it's like, you can't affect any, you don't get emails about, it's a plane coming in. It's like, it's got nothing to do with you. So it's like, do you want a job where you just go to work and come home? And I've never really had a job like that. I've always I could be in the shower and go, what if I'd done this had this piece of art hanging or whatever. I had an idea for something, and it's like I'm always just kind of like, I could be on a beach somewhere and I see something. I'm like, we could do that here. We could do that there. Or I see something. Even I was in New York and I saw like a bin. I was like, that bin would be cool in one of my spaces. So now we have these bins that I saw in New York. So I was like, that looks cool. So it's like I'm always thinking, what can, just like being creative about stuff. So I don't think it would change my kind of work having any guaranteed income. It would just mean I might shove a Waitrose, buy some nicer food.
Let's go back to the beginning, just as a thought experiment. So,
Okay.
would you have got the job on the market still? Say you were what, 16? Say you got 15, 16, you got basic income kicked in.
Yeah.
Would you still have gone out to work, having that spending money there?
No.
But it would have given you extra spending money, a bit more to spend than other people at school.
Yeah, but it depends on
It's a weird one, isn't it?
It depends on the kind of percentage wise, because I'll be thinking, right, I'm working all day for, as it was, 20 quid.
Yeah.
And then I could be getting 1,600.
Yeah, I'm getting this money for nothing. Why would I do that?
But like, it probably, it'd be tricky having it as a kid, because it's quite a lot of money. It's a lot of money for not working. Like my proper first job was like 12 grand a year. So it's like, it would probably take away a lot of ambition to get a job. You'd be like, well, I'd have to get a job that earned at least maybe 3 grand a month, because I'm doing nothing for this. So I need to be, and I've got to work 5 days a week, let's say. I'm working whatever. Why not go to work unless I'm earning exponentially a lot more money? It seems pointless.
Unless
something like that. It seems negative now.
Unless you're working on something that's really good. And unless automation like actually frees us from a lot of boring labor, which I don't think it will. I think we're going to end
but then
up
it gets another point. And I was thinking the other day about the automation point is all these jobs which were done by people, computers don't pay taxes. So there's going to be a massive amount of automated jobs that were people maybe sorting out strawberries, whatever, it's done by computers, which they don't pay tax, but the person sorting strawberries pay tax. So it's going to be a huge question. Do we tax robots? I suppose. Who knows? Another podcast there.
Yeah. I mean, it's not for us to decide anyway. So
yeah. Isn't it? Oh, I thought I could decide that. But yeah, now you said that about, it's interesting when you say about would I have got a job if I was earning that much money? I probably wouldn't have. So then it goes to the point when then you have to start paying, the minimum wage have to increase a lot.
But the other thing is, sitting around, it's boring as hell. It's boring doing nothing.
For some people. For some people.
I think for everybody, I think it gets to that point. It's just like, because it makes you listless. It like you start to lose social skills. Like you need to do.
But I think you're saying that as a grown adult. Whereas I was with my nephews over Easter, they're like 18. They're just sitting playing computer games, and I was like, yeah, they're not bothered. I said, why don't you go get a college or whatever? No, I like playing my game.
Yeah, but you do that for a few years. That's like
hopefully.
I mean, that's like being institutionalized. That's essentially the same as being in jail. You're just doing the same thing every day.
Yeah.
You know, which is the same as going into a boring job. It's like, I just come into this boring job.
Yeah. But even if you get 600 quid a month for like, it would change a lot of dynamics around work. A lot. I don't know how I feel about it now. When you first said it, I was like, yeah, I'd take that money. But I think it both should be people. But then you're like saying, if you've got a job, you can have it. And it's like, well, then, it's not universal, is it?
I mean, the way I think about it is, I think we need something to put money in people's pockets. And like, we're not creating enough jobs fast enough. And the jobs that we are creating aren't good enough. And we're not paying people enough money. And things are too expensive. So we've got to get money in people's pockets. And we've also got to have something like, especially since Brexit, and you'll either agree or disagree, but like, from my point of view, I don't feel there's anything cohesive about this. I don't know what being British is like, but for me, if we were all getting a UBI, it's like, oh, we're all part of this thing where we're getting something, we belong to something. So they're the two main reasons. And also I think it would change people's attitude to work. And I think work is good and it's good for us, but it's not just wholly good, because it also makes us ill and
If you hate that, I can see. Yeah, I would hate to not like my job. Like I had a few years back, I was like, I just didn't feel right. I was like, oh, I don't feel right here. So I took a few days off or whatever. I came back to work, and that kind of give me more insight. I'm not saying I had any mental health issues or whatever, but give me an insight. I was like, I couldn't understand it. And it gave me a bit of insight into how people, imagine just feeling like that all the time, thinking I just didn't feel right. I wouldn't know what it was, but I was just like, after a few days at home, I felt, oh, I'm back to work now. And I was in the position where my work were like, yeah, just take some time off, do whatever, just go for a walk, whatever you want to do. And it was nice. And I kind of give me a more understanding of kind of mental health, how it can affect people. So I was like, it's just not a thing. It's just not a thing. I couldn't understand it. I was like I had no concept.
Get over
I was like,
shut up, get on with it.
Yeah, it's not. But then when I had that for like 3 days, just like, I didn't feel right. Do you know what it was? I was like, normally I'm like 80-90% kind of me. I felt like 50%. And I was like, I just didn't know what it was. It was really odd. And I was just like, that kind of gave me an insight into kind of how people who must come to like something that just don't want to do something. I'm like, I just couldn't kind of get my head around it. But then it gave me like a really small insight into how people must kind of feel. But yeah, it's a bit of a weird. If you didn't like your job, I don't know what. It's not a concept to me. It's just not a concept to me.
Well, it's where most of us spend most of our time. So if it's not working there,
do something else.
Yeah.
And I think in this country, you have got opportunity to do something else. It might not be the greatest job from the start, but you could get out of a job you hate, do something you don't mind, again, do something you do want to do and figure it out. But I think, and if kids do, I think now you've got to stay in school till you're 18, haven't you? Or in education till you're 18, or I think, apparently. But like, I think if I'd have gone back, I would have probably done an apprenticeship. If someone said to me, you could do it, I didn't even know about electricians, plumbing, whatever, doing kind of hands-on stuff. It wasn't even on my radar. And I think to me that would have been where I would have been, because I'm not academic, as I said before. So I think I would have been jump at the chance to do, I think at 15 you can go to like college and do like building or maybe 16. So I would have, that was a thing for me. 100% I would have been doing a trade.
But in a lot of ways, then you wouldn't have got to do what you have done. You'd have been on that path of having to trade. But maybe you could have excelled even more. You could have been like, well, I'm the world's premier expert on electrical light shows now.
Yeah, exactly. But like, I think there's a lot more opportunity now if you want to look for it. If you're motivated to find it as a teenager, there's a lot. It seems like there's a lot more opportunity.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of stuff in there. I was going to say about recognizing opportunities and stuff. It's like this sort of having everything there for you, the overwhelming choice kind of thing.
Yeah, probably. It's probably too much.
But there's a lot of just like going outside, like, and you've said that, and I've known other people who've just like, so many of their jobs, they just went in somewhere and went, have you got a job? Like, have you got any work?
Yeah.
And they were like, are you an idiot? And they went, no. And like, yeah, can you turn up and look smart? And they've got a job.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, but from the online world, they're never going to say that to you and talking about spec letters.
No, but it's actually just going back to the point about kind of COVID, working from home, etc. Like, if you're not at a table, you're not going to get promoted or hear about opportunities. And it's like, yeah, you can do your job at home, but you might be in the office and someone says, oh, there's a new project starting in New York. And you'd be like, hang on a minute, let me have a conversation. But if you sat at home, they're just like, Alex is at home and he's doing his work. And, he's happy. He's happy doing his job. They don't know, whatever, I'm doing my job. But then it's like, if you're in the office, you hear things, you kind of see things. And I read a paper how it's really detrimental for women now working from home, because as a primary caregiver, and it got to the point before COVID and it was slowly creeping, not to an even playing field, but it was slowly creeping that kind of way. But now it's kind of gone back to where it was, because the women,
they're both working from home. So now it's like, oh, well,
Yeah.
Which you're used to it.
It's like, I know my wife wouldn't have any of it, but like, he kind of, in the statistics of it all, you can see it. It's kind of shifting back where women are now working home more. Men are back in the office. They're hearing about promotions. They're kind of at the table listening, and the balance is kind of shifting again. So yeah, come on, buy an office. Come on, work in an office. Come on, find an office for me. come on, on my faces. But like, it's kind of, when you think about it, it kind of makes sense, doesn't it? Like, not makes sense, but you can kind of see the logic in the fact that the
structural
primary
forces,
Yes. And like the men are like, I'll just go to for you to stay at home. And it's like, and it just kind of gets back into that routine, I suppose.
Yeah, things reset to the default sort of thing.
Yeah.
So before I do the wrapping up bit where I hand it over to you, I just want to, so in terms of your work-life balance, are you pretty good at switching off and finishing work, or are you a work all hours into the night, anytime?
Like I always, the way I look at it is, it's like, I do what I need to do to get my job done.
Yeah.
Whether it's working on a Saturday.
But is that all in the office kind of thing, and then you out, or are you?
No, but then like, it's like, but if my kids got to play, I'm going to see their play.
Yeah.
If I need to go to the dentist, I'm going to the dentist. And it's like really, really balanced. Like I'm happy with the way it works for me. So there's a perfect balance where I can drop my kids at school and I'll come into work, I'll do my job, and I'll go home. And then if I need to do an email, I'll do an email. I've always working in events. It's like holidays and weekends is when everyone goes out, and that's when I used to just work. So when I've got it now is more literally, I'd maybe do 5 weekends a year. Literally, I'm not like, that's amazing for me. I used to work every weekend, like at an event or at a concert or a night or whatever it was, or whatever I was doing, it was always on sociable hours. So people say to me, I need double time for a Sunday. I'm like, no, that's your job. Like you, like whatever. So I'm quite like, I'm not that. I'm like, no, that's your job. You're working the weekend. You don't get paid any more for that. That's your job. Like the water taxi people, you're working a 7-day week. Like you're working 5 days over 7. It's not Monday to Friday. And if it's bank holidays, same. Whatever, New Year's Day, same. That's just that's just kind of a day. But like my work balance is like, I think it's brilliant. Everyone's like, how'd you do it? I'm like, and I also know as well, I'm good at my job. I can do my job. And if I can't do my job in my time that I feel is reasonable, I've got too much work on, and I'll be saying, I'm not doing that. So I've got a line in the sand, and like, obviously every now and then you've got to work late and do whatever, and that's not a problem. But if you're constantly working 2 hours a day more than what you should be, that's not for me. And I'll be like, I'm not doing it. But I know I can do my job. I'm good at my job. And if I can't do it in the time allocated, I'm not doing it. I'm just going home. I'm done. But then the more I see people who just take it, and the more you take it, the more you get given. And it's like, you get to a point when all of a sudden you're working 12-hour days. It's like, why are we doing that? It's crazy. It's not for me. No, it's not for me. I won't be doing that.
Yeah. Well, and anyone who is doing it won't be doing it for very long. It'll take it out of you.
Yeah, it does. And you see them, they're like always exhausted, unhealthy. Like, why are you doing that? Like, no one cares. Like, no one cares. You just look like a mug. Like, no one thinks, oh, that guy is doing a brilliant job working 12 hours a day. They're just thinking, I'll just give him more. It's just crazy. It's crazy. Not for me. I'm like, nah, I'm all right. I'm good for that. I'm going out for a walk. I'm going to the gym.
Yeah. I've done my work. It's there.
Yeah.
I'm happy.
Yeah. I can't do any more than that in my time. I'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
But obviously there are sometimes during events when you've got to work late weekends, and I accept that. I'm not going to go, oh, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm never leaving the team either going home. If they're all working late, I'm not going to go, I'm going. I'll be with the team doing the job.
I mean, there's times as well. I mean, one of the things with events, like you say, is there are times where you will be doing 12-hour days, 14-hour days, or whatever that you'll have to do.
If only 14. I've done the worst I've ever done, I think, was 33 hours. Yeah. But what are you going to do? Can't, like, no one's, as soon as you can't just be going home.
Yeah.
Because it won't happen.
Yeah.
Everyone's doing it.
Yeah.
Something's happened. Something's gone wrong. Something's not turned up. Everyone's in the same position. And there's our people who go, I'm going home. It's like, fine, but you ain't coming back to the, it might sound bad, but you won't be asked back again.
Yeah.
Like, unfortunately, you're only as good as your last job, aren't you? So it's like, it's fine. If that, obviously we don't expect you to do 33 hours, but if you do, you might get a nice little drink out of it, whatever, but you won't be, unfortunately, you probably won't be asked back. And like, obviously you don't expect to do it every job. If it does happen, you're going to have to just do what you got to do.
Yeah. And sometimes they're fun, it's fun to. I mean, it's awful, but there's also the camaraderie. And
when you look back at it, it's fun.
It's like,
it's fun when you finish. Yeah. It's fun when you finish, but it's not at the time when it's covered. You're soaking wet.
Yeah.
Like, you're not
X
eating.
hours in, and you're like, oh God,
Yeah,
can this just end? Why
Yeah,
did I
run
agree
out
to
of
this?
like when I used to like run out of cigs when I used to smoke or whatever. It's like, oh God, I ran out of Red Bull, whatever. Oh, God,
All the
like,
shops
yeah,
are
but as you
closed
say,
now.
it's quite good fun. Like the camaraderie of everyone together makes it. That's the part of why I got into I love events, because it is just wasn't the greatest money, but everyone there was working to the same goal.
Yeah.
Everyone understood that the gates open at 10.
Yeah.
So everyone, you get found out pretty quick if you're not going to be there.
Yeah.
You get if you're not if you're like a 9 to 5er, you're pretty quickly out the door.
Yeah.
And it's not for everyone. Loads of people want champagne, VIP. It's not that. It is a little bit, but it's not that.
It's carrying huge bits of metal around, isn't it?
Yeah. Basically. Yeah, basically. And getting shouted at by someone. But yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so this is the point where I throw it over to you. If there's anything that we haven't covered, anything that you want to say or kind of promote, pick up, this is the point for you to do it. But first off, I'm going to ask you for your socials. So where can people find you? Anything that you want to promote here?
The socials are Leeds Doc. It's all Leeds Doc. Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
My personal is, I don't know what that is, but it's on Leeds Doc. You can find me if you want me. If you want any work doing, it's now. I'm doing this now. If anything needs doing, placemaking wise, get in touch. No matter how big or small, we can make your places fun.
Yep. Just email you or just through Leeds Doc?
Oh yeah, email me. Yeah, my email will be somewhere, I imagine.
Yeah,
so, like and subscribe, whatever. Like and subscribe.
So is there anything we haven't covered that you want to kind of chat about, or anything you want to ask about or revisit? Or...
No, I think we're good. It's been interesting. Yeah,
you don't have to. I mean,
what did you do before this? What was you do? You work? Is this your job?
Trying to be.
Oh, is it?
So the other side of it is I'm making podcasts as well. So I'm editing for people, and so before this, I was doing a bunch of admin jobs, like temping, bouncing around. I was down in London for like 10 years working at the TUC. And then I took voluntary redundancy there, and then London just got too expensive. And I was like, all I'm doing is getting up, going into work, coming home, paying rent.
Yeah, London's mad. I think London's good. If I always say people got time and money, London's amazing. You need time and money.
Yeah. I mean, everything's there, but you need the money, or you need to know the people that you can live cheap enough that you've got the money.
Yeah. Yeah. I've got to stay at my mum's house.
Yeah. Right. But yeah, so I did, like, I've done theatre work. I've done work on short films. I've done work in like unions, education, various establishments. I've done like knocking on 30 plus roles or whatever, like loads of stuff. But I wanted to be in film, but you need other people for film.
In front of the camera or behind the camera?
Behind the camera. But podcasting, you can do it yourself.
We also own that Versus Studios in Leeds, so we do a lot of stuff with TV companies at the minute. Do you know Versus Studios on Whitehall Road?
I know them from online, but I don't think I've seen it.
It's huge. Down like the far end by the Directory.
Oh, like on Kirkstall Road?
No, not Kirkstall Road, on Whitehall Road.
All right.
Dunelm. Yeah, it's a huge studio.
Okay. I'll have a look down
there. You never know.
Yeah, but I'll be down to the dock at some point, I'm sure.
Bit swimming, bit wild swimming.
Try that. Have you been wild swimming in there?
Yeah, I started it off. Yeah? So I used to swim in Roundhay Lake all the time. I got thrown out. So I was like, hang on a minute, I've got water here. Let's just start it off. But it got a bit sketchy because it got so popular. I thought I was going to kill someone. So I had to get some, like, set it to a professional company.
Yeah.
I had these waivers, but I just kind of Googled open water swimming waiver.
Yeah.
And it looked a bit sketchy, so I was just like...
Which is fine at covering yourself for one or two people, the odds are low, but as those odds go up, you're like, I need something that's actually going to protect people here.
Actually like legal something. So I sold the contract to a professional company. But yeah, it's good, it's nice. It's nice water.
I don't know. I'd be a bit nervous of it. I've done wild swimming, but I'm not confident in doing it here.
It's 18 degrees in the summer. It's pretty warm.
That's not bad. So I'm doing this. I'm partially doing this because it's like loads of those jobs. they were just boring and rubbish. And I wanted to do something a bit more interesting. And I wanted to talk to various people, and I wanted to get more involved in what was going on in the city and kind of get back in touch.
Good idea.
So this was a great way. I mean, so the other podcast that I work on, Leeds Business Podcast, the guy that runs that, Phil, he's kind of the same. It's just like, it's great doing this. You just get to have all these interesting conversations with various random people and then, make content out of it. So yeah, it's
that business one could come down to that. We've got a big event, UK Reef. Might have said to him about that because it's huge for the city. It's called UK Reef. And that'll be a really interesting conversations down there.
I would like to get into a position where I am able to do recordings for people where I can actually, do a promotion, like turn the thing round in time. The thing that slows it down is the proofing. But if someone was going to proof it quite quickly, I could turn one around, well, in a day, but it'd be a lot of work. But within a week easily. So if there was something that wanted to promote and have it come out in time, that's possible. But I'm here. You've done it now. So if you think of anyone else to recommend to come on, I'd be very...
No, I spoke to a mate, a friend of mine called Tony Green. I've told him to get in touch with you. And he's an interesting guy. Owns record shops in the city. Owns a bar in Kirkstall. And loads of different stuff. Yeah, it's a good guy.
Yeah, I haven't really... I thought I would have more, because the social media that I see, especially on Instagram, like the bars and restaurants and stuff seem to be really good at their socials. But I haven't had any of them wanting to come on the podcast. And I'm kind of like, why? It'd be... I know people are scared of talking kind of thing, but it's also like, there's no real downside here, apart from me saying crazy stuff either side of your interview or in your interview.
Yeah, no, like I've done a few podcasts where I never even get approved. So I just send it out. Not even, because it's like, I'm quite honest with what I say, so I don't think it'll be that much of a
and
problem.
you're not going to say anything too stupid or too revealing, and it's only going to lead to like opportunity. I mean, you must have had if you've done a few now, you must have had a few things come back off one or two of them.
It's more just to me places. It's more just I put it out there. People are like, I didn't know that about you. It's just conversation starter as well. People go, I didn't know you worked with Rolling Stones. I didn't know you, whatever it is. It's just a conversation starter. So that's what I put it on LinkedIn, one of our whatever, and it just kind of goes out, and then you get it's more just a conversation starter than any kind of work, and it's just kind of something to chat about. And even just to me to think about, actually, I've done all right. I've done from like leaving school with nothing, thinking, actually now I've got a big team of people here running a big kind of company. It's like, it's mad.
Yeah. It's important to look back.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you again to Alex for being my guest. Thanks, as always, to all my guests. And thanks to you, Leeds, for being my subject. If you'd like to know more about Alex and Form Property, go to formproperty.co.uk or linkedin.com/company/Form Property. Or you can find them on Instagram, instagram.com/form.property. Please be my guest on this podcast in September. Let's fill the whole month with recordings. Let's see if I can get more than 50 recordings in a year. I think that's my record at the moment. That's pathetic, Leeds. Come on. There must be more people who aren't afraid to speak. Where are you? Come on, give it a go. You can email Working Hours at workinghourspod@western-studios.com if you would like to make a podcast series. Don't forget, you can do that with me and help to support Working Hours at the same time. Just email makemypodcast@western-studios.com to do just that. Right then, I'll see you later, our kid. Working Hours is produced, recorded, edited and published by Simon Treen for Western Studios, Leeds Limited. The music was The Bees from Chopin's Etudes, which is in the public domain and was taken from museopen.org. Go to western-studios.com and use the contact page on the site to drop me a message about either Working Hours or about your own Leeds podcast project. Keep up to date with Working Hours and find out about the other great Leeds podcasts that Western Studios is involved with by following Western Studios Leeds on Facebook at facebook.com/Western_Studios Western_Leeds, and on LinkedIn, linkedin.com/company/Western-Studios. Western Studios Leeds is available to loiners to help them realise their own podcast projects for only £30 for an hour of audio podcast work or £40 for an hour of video podcast work. Email makemypodcast@western-studios.com with details of your project and what support you want to get your Leeds podcast made. Whatever your podcast question or need, get in touch with Western Studios Leeds.